employees retire, we set them free, shaking the ground with epiphany. Fresh thinking loud, it's our decree. Unconventional wisdom dancing on the beat.
Hello, and welcome to Unconventional Wisdom about conventional wisdom. Today, my guest is Karen Hawks, and she hails from San Diego, California. And we're just excited to hear about your success and your road to getting there. So, first of all, welcome.
Thank you, Kim.
Yeah. And so, Karen, tell us a little bit about you.
Okay. So I'm Karen Hawks, and I'm the founder of Hawks Trademark Law. I have a small law firm located here in San Diego, California. We focus on three areas of law, primarily trademark, copyright, and business transactions related to those areas.
Okay, good. How many people do you have in your firm?
So there are three attorneys and then myself, so four attorneys, and we have two staff members, a very skilled paralegal, and we have an admin. Keeps us all in line.
You actually worked at big law firm before you started your practice, correct?
So I started my practice in a small law firm. I have worked in big law firms as a law clerk, but as an attorney, I started in a small law firm, not knowing if I was going to stay there, and I ended up staying there for a dozen years.
Right. What prompted you to go out on your own?
The decision to start my business really had a lot to do with the transitions that were going on in the firm that I was in. The main partner was decided to go in-house with one of our very large media clients, and it was kind of the right time for me to thereafter go ahead and start my firm. It's something that I had wanted to do. I was relocating to a different area, and it
Mm.
just made sense at the time, and I have zero regrets about that.
That's awesome. So, random question. What or who are you a closet fan of?
Okay, so for me, it's Barbie. Barbie is the original influencer. She is a mega power brand. And just growing up as a child, loving Barbie and then seeing her growth throughout my lifetime. And now we're seeing a movie and just the products that have come out of it besides the doll itself. But I love, love, love the brand.
Which you said to me before we started, when we were talking, that you have a pretty conservative demeanor, right? And that
Yes.
you're pretty chill. And I think people are going to be a little surprised about that answer.
Yes, people do see me as a little bit of kind of this buttoned up, all business, but I'm just like everybody else. I have my habits, my fun things that I like to do.
All right. So let's give the listener something really meaty to start with, which is what's one piece of conventional business wisdom that you followed early on, later to realize that it was just completely wrong for you?
Yes, that's a very good question. So, most people, when they're starting a business, they think they have to follow this old school business model. And the old school business model is you've got to have a business plan, you've got to have a physical space, you've got to start hiring staff, and then you work on building out your client base. In my mind, that does not work anymore. You do not need to take all of those steps to start practicing your craft. It's really about getting out there, networking, knowing what you're an expert in, and start building out your client base. And growth is just naturally going to happen after that.
Right. It's interesting that you say that because I know some people who own like insurance, like State Farm or Allstate agencies, and they're have a similar model where they encourage their agency owners to hire staff immediately out of the gate. And for so many of them, it is such a disastrous thing. First of all, you don't know exactly what it is that you even need in terms of skill set, culture fit. And then the second part is that then you're just chasing income. Like, how many people have made those commitments and then started with the exact wrong clients because they're so concerned about paying for their staff?
100%. I mean, at the gate, you're putting out a lot of money, and a lot of people are inclined then, do I have to take every single client that walks in the door? Well, every single client might not be a fit for you. You might not be the best professional for that client. So I think that immediately puts a lot of heaviness on a new business owner, a lot of weight on their shoulders, and that's going to equate with stress and anxiety, and they're not really focusing on building their business. And that old school model, you don't need to do that anymore. I look at law firms in the 80s and 90s, and the modern law firm is very, very different. It's okay to morph with change and how things are now.
Right. I love that. I think that even if you're not an attorney, right, to look at whatever the model is and say, what works for me, right?
Exactly.
And the other thing is too, is that as I like to tell people, like, if you are service based, then no matter whether it's staff or anything else, you don't have a business until you have clients,
Exactly.
right? So why don't you spend your time, resources getting clients, is getting your entire infrastructure and spending a lot of money on those things when you don't have a business unless you can sell.
Exactly. And putting all those resources into that, when a better avenue for myself is building a network, you're going to build your client base and focus on the service that you provide instead
Right.
of having the cookie cutter business that maybe used to be the protocol. It's not really the protocol anymore.
Yeah. So as a successful business leader, what's one thing that people assume that you have got this totally figured out, but underneath it all, you feel like you're still wrestling with it?
Very easy for me to answer this question. Navigating growth is a challenge. Why? Because you realize that number one, you need to build teams and you need to build processes in order to be successful when you're rapidly growing. You can't wear every hat as much as you may want to. Building out that team, it's vital for growth. And I still struggle with that. It's a good problem to have, right? That means that you're busy, that you're growing, but you have to navigate that.
Yeah, navigating growth is really challenging. And I think it's interesting. I had a conversation actually earlier with somebody about how one of the clients that I often work with is the one who says yes to everything, right? Even if you don't own your own business, right? If you're corporate and you're assuming a higher leadership position, how do you effectively work on the things that actually only you can do and build the team and trust them to do the other things?
You have to be able to delegate. It's a tough thing for a lot of us who are the owner of the business or who like to have their hands in everything. You have to be able to take that hat off and pass it on, or you're not going to be 100% at what you do need to do and what your role has morphed into. Early on in a business, yes, you're going to wear multiple hats. But as that grows and as the requirements of what you need to do and where you need to be to continue to grow and provide the highest level of service, you have to be able to let go of some of that. And that is a challenge for a lot of people.
Yeah. And, you know, just because you can do it does not mean that you should be doing it. Here's another thing that I run across very frequently, and I'm curious what you think about this, which is, well, whoever does it for me has to do it exactly the same way that I do it. Even if they can get to the outcome, right? That you hold this belief that it has to be done in the same quality that you would do it or the same way that you would do it. Do you run into that at all?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things of wanting to have your hands in everything. Your duty to the client, no matter what industry you're in, it's very, very high. You want to perform the best service that you can. But there are some things that you're just not going to be good at. There's somebody on your team that's better at it. And if you try to micromanage or force them to follow what your mindset would be if you were in that role, it's going to be a waste of time because you hired them because they are good at what they do. And I guarantee you they can do it better than if you were to take that task on yourself.
Right. And even if they're not better than you, there's still a time, money trade-off thing, right? Like, when is it good enough?
Yes. So I learned this lesson as a very young lawyer when a partner told me, Karen, sometimes done is better than perfect. Because if someone, you have high standards for something, and someone on your team does things differently, they're going to get to that same result. Maybe it's not exactly how you would do it, but you can't do everything. You have to be able to trust the team to take on the tasks at hand, to do them to the best of their ability, and that's okay.
Right? Even if it makes you a little uncomfortable, I think is
Yes.
because you said it best. Like, you cannot do everything and grow your business.
No, and I think as a business owner, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable because of the fact that you can't have your hands in everything. Yes, you're going to have standards, you're going to have processes in place, but your time is better spent practicing the craft that you do, and that's the service to your client.
Yes, I agree 100%. If you could rewrite the rule book on leadership, what's one outdated belief you'd throw out immediately, and what would you replace it with?
This kind of goes back to what we were just talking about, but it's really that every problem should be solved at the top because that's not the
Mhm.
case. If you allow the team to be proactive when issues come up, they will solve them on their own. There are many, many times when you don't need to be involved in that. Again, they're probably going to do it better than bringing every single thing to your attention. I have a very strong team, and I notice every day that they are proactively seeing things that need to be taken care of and doing that without ever talking to me. I see emails, I see things going on, but they're taking care of those things and that's their role and they're good at it. So it's really just allowing that process to happen.
Right.
Every problem should not be taking away your time. Certain problems, yes, you will have to deal with, but for some things, 9 times out of 10, the team's going to take care of it.
Right?
Yes.
And I think what you're saying is that we just carry so many details in our head that we have to let the people that we're paying do the things that we are paying them to do, again, so that you can do the things that nobody else in your firm can do.
Exactly. I think the days of micromanagement are really out the door. Believe in your team will be a success.
Yeah, that's great. So, what's one unconventional habit or mindset shift that helped you grow your business, even though maybe it was against typical advice?
So this is very important in my growth, and that's not limiting yourself. Don't limit yourself geographically, regionally. If you can provide value outside of your region or outside of your little bubble, do it. There's opportunity out there, and there really is endless opportunity. So embrace the virtual, right? Once the pandemic happened and these doors opened for us, opportunity kind of became endless. And it's really a disadvantage to your business to limit yourself. If you don't have those geographic limitations, go out and meet people, network, provide value, continue to build out your network, and your business is going to grow. I think the mindset of we've got to be in person. We've got to have physical office. Every client has to come in and meet. No, they don't. They can meet you on Zoom, they can meet you on Teams, but the reality is you can provide that value and you can do business outside of that. So be open to that and don't let that opportunity slip away.
Right. Tell us that was a game changer for your business.
Oh, 100%. When the pandemic happened and we're all at home, I'm thinking to myself, what can I do now in this different world that we're living in? And for me, Zoom opened the doors. Once I realized that I could take meetings anywhere, that I could network anywhere, I took full advantage of that, got out there, met a lot of people, and provided a lot of value, sent a lot of business, and the business kind of flowed back naturally to me. And that really brought my business to the next level. And that's when I began building out the team, processes, learning delegation, all of that really flowed from that. And I think any business could do that. You just have to be open to it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me think too. I have clients in Europe. I have clients in Puerto Rico. I have
Yes.
clients like all over the globe. I was an international coach way back when I had a couple of clients in Canada. But, the world really and truly is our oyster at this
Yeah.
point,
Just
right?
have to take advantage of it and put yourself out there.
Right. Well, I think what you're also really saying is think a little bit outside the box.
Yes, yes. Everything changes, and a lot of people are very hesitant to change, but change equates with growth. You have to embrace change because you can't stop it. All the technology and
Uh-huh.
everything, it's happening. So just embrace it and be a part of it and allow that to help you.
Right. Do you have a sense of from when you were doing everything in person to the amount of growth that you've had since 2020? Do you know what the percentage that your business has grown?
It's around 70%.
That's not nothing.
No, no. And it just continues. The new world of virtual is not going anywhere. So if I could advise a business owner to take advantage of it, it's
Right.
there for you.
Right. Right. And what I think is so interesting about that is I literally was at a meeting where somebody said, "Oh, my daughter got over 1 million views on a post on TikTok. Now she's thinking about quitting college and becoming an influencer." And she said, "Well, no, not really." But I think, in contrast, really, to what you're saying, is that you do not need to be an influencer, right? You don't need to be a social media guru. I mean, good for you if you are, but just opening your virtual doors and welcoming in people from all over the country really and truly has a great impact on your business.
100%. Because if you think about it, it's opportunity that's lost if you are very close-minded to that. When you can open the door and broaden your network, as a result of that, it's going to broaden your client base. I mean,
Right.
what's wrong with that? That's a great thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I love that. My last question for you is, many leaders secretly battle with imposter syndrome, right? Everybody wants to put on, like, I got this, right? And to a large extent, you do. But when doubts creep in, what are those thoughts, or what precipitates typically that happening for you, if you have awareness of that, and what do you do about it?
Okay, so everybody in this Instagram world that we live in puts forth their best face. And that can look to a new business owner, to an entrepreneur, to a professional, that can look very intimidating. It can look like everybody that you're seeing has everything figured out and that everybody has reached this level of success that you maybe will never reach. And it's a fallacy. What you really need to do when you have thoughts like, oh, this person's really got it together, they've got it all. Well, everybody has problems and nobody has a perfect life. But what you can do as a business owner, as a professional, is surround yourself with like minded folks that you can build as part of your kind of core networking group. Because I guarantee you, you can ask them questions about things that you're feeling and they've navigated it. They've dealt with it, or they can provide some really valuable advice, particularly if they've been in an industry for a long time. And also just to keep in mind that the Instagram world is very kind of damaging, and just to not fall into that everybody looks like they've got it together,
Mhm.
everybody looks like they're the most successful in the world, because we all have challenges, we all have things that we need to overcome. But having a core group of like-minded professionals that you can reach out to and have kind of the informal roundtable, or just to pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm dealing with this, have you dealt with that? 9 times out of 10, they have. And most people are really, really giving with their information and support.
Right. And I think part of that is look at who you are surrounding yourself with.
Yes.
If you have people who are close to you who are not supportive, who are always going to crush your dreams or say, I told you so. And, you know, that may be your family. So maybe you're not in a position to be able to take those people out of your life. I come across this with clients all the time. In fact, I'm thinking of one client in particular. You know what your father is going to say to you when you tell him about this problem that you have. So, since you know that, it's actually on you. Like, you're creating your own problem when you go to him and tell him,
Yeah,
right? Like,
absolutely.
don't tell him. Like, he's not the right person to discuss this with.
Exactly. You have to understand that you can't take on other people's drama, other people's anxieties. If you've got a boss or a higher up partner that is not very nice to you, or they're trying to crush you, well, you have to step back and say, is that about me or is that about them? And do your best not to absorb that, because you can only control yourself, your reactions to things. I think that's the advice I would give a professional. Understand that that's not you to absorb, that's not you to bring on as something to carry around on your shoulders. That has a lot more to do about, them, and maybe they're going through something.
Right. Personally, I really have very intentionally surrounded myself with not just supportive people, but like just badass, successful people, because even just energetically, that's who I want to hang with.
Like-minded folks that have the same types of values and striving for the same types of things, because not only have they maybe gone through something that they can provide some advice for, but they may be going through something. And I think that when you surround yourself with people who are positive, who are doing great things, that just reflects back on you. Nobody wants to hang out with the downer or the person
Right.
who's always saying that everything's horrible, because you
E-
do absorb some of that.
Exactly. And it was interesting. I was working with a client yesterday who is dissolving a partnership and continuing on her own. But with staff, like she's already got a really big established business, and she is going to go on the networking business development circuit right now to grow the business on her own. And she's a very direct, straightforward person. I'm curious what you also like what you think about this. You can be a straight shooter and you can be worried about how you're going to bring in enough business to support your staff and kind of all the other things that we worry about in our business. And also be excited about the future, excited about growing the business in a very intentional way. The more you tell the story about what you're creating, not only do you get other people excited about what you're doing and potentially get more business, you actually hear your own success story in your own words over and over again. And I am convinced that that is unbelievably powerful.
Yes, the power of manifestation. And when you have a supportive group of folks that are around you and you're talking about things that you want to do, things that you're going to strive for, and they're there to support you and talk through things with you, that's very powerful. I think that that is the way a lot of people have landed a lot of success. Having that core group, I think it's really important to have folks around you that are 100% supportive, but that'll be there for you when you have challenges as well, because they have probably had challenges, maybe dealing with challenges, and sharing a mindset for success. I think it's a beautiful thing.
Right. I literally got a text message this morning from a friend who said, I had a really bad thing happen and I just need some positive encouragement. So
Yes.
then you just get to say, how incredible is it that you can ask for what you need?
Yes.
And I just want you all to know that my response was very powerfully positive and funny.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I think we did it. I think you really gave people some great things to think about, some things that you have learned along the way that I think will really help other people. And can I just say this? Karen is a little modest. And did you hear that? Because I specifically asked her how much her business has grown since 2020. 70%. That is a huge accomplishment. And she is a very successful boutique law firm here, and she continues to grow. And so I think listening to some of the way that she has positioned that growth, one of the things that really stands out for me is about not absorbing other people's negativity or problems. I think that is really something that we can all work on. Karen, I just appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. And this is Kim Miller-Hershon along with Karen Hawks, Unconventional Wisdom about Conventional Wisdom. If you like what you heard today, please share, subscribe, download, comment. So thank you very much. This is Kim Miller-Hershon. Go out there and be a better human.
Cliches retire, we set them free. Shaking the ground with epiphany. Fresh thinking loud, it's our decree. Unconventional wisdom dancing on the beat.